Hey, folks, welcome back again to the Smart Life podcast. Aaron Taylor here. What is something that some of you can say that maybe you're missing, or something that you kind of feel like you're in a place where, hey, I need really good fellowship. I need really good parenting. I need really good I just need really good accountability. And so I challenge everybody, even myself. I have to challenge myself in these areas. This is something me and my wife we talk about, is having the right accountability partners, having the right accountability factors. And it's not just in one area. You could have an accountability partner, whether it's in your marriage, maybe it's in the workplace, finances, in your health. You have to identify just who are my accountability partners that
Mhm.
I not only am running with, but I'm not just running with them, but I'm growing with them. And that's one of
Come
the
on.
reasons why I wanted to bring this gentleman on here today. So let me introduce him. So I've got Antoine Jordan in here. You guys have obviously met his wife, Fatima Jordan, our health and wellness expert. She was on here last week. She's been on here a couple times. We'll have her back on here. But I really wanted to bring Antoine in here because Antoine has really been a phenomenal accountability partner for me. First of all, he has a fantastic marriage. He's got a great marriage of, it's going on about 17 years, if I remember.
Mhm.
17 years. He's got three amazing kids, from young adult, teenager, one that's going to be a teenager soon. He's a tremendous father. He's also a tremendous leader, and he's also a very gifted musician, creative spirit, and he's utilizing these gifts. And one thing I really like is that Antoine is really big on accountability. He's very big on accountability, and we're talking about accountability, Antoine, not in a way that I think is where we're kind of talking about. Some people think of accountability like, are you going to micromanage me? No, it's accountability in terms of, I really want to see you win. I really
Mhm.
want to see you grow. I really want to see you
Mhm.
develop. I really want to see you excel. And just kind of in your personal journey, I think many people, and I can speak for others, when we talk about just the roles that you've been able to do, as a husband, as obviously a father, a leader, in your career field. Talk about the accountability factor for a bit, because I think this is such an important thing that many people are missing. And and for you personally, what do you, being an accountability partner, like you and I have been accountability partners for years, and one of the things I really like is you consistently checking in. You're consistently checking in. Hey, how you doing? Um, you know, and so talk about the importance of, when you're kind of being that accountability partner for somebody. How is that shaping you as a person, knowing that I'm really focused on investing in making sure I'm, in a way, discipling them. I'm in a way, empowering them, because I really want to make sure that our relationship, it flourishes. Whether it's this relationship or another relationship. What has that meant to you?
Man, well, holding somebody accountable, I mean, it's really just like being a friend, you know what I'm saying? Being there for somebody, that's big in my life, right? Like some people say I'm loyal to a fault. Because man, I believe that you need to walk with people, right? When people are going through different situations, even as myself, it's like, man, you need people around you to guide you, to be there to assist you in different avenues, different obstacles that you go through in life. And one thing that the Bible talks about is, hey, we love God and we love people. So my thing is, I love people. And I want to see
Mhm.
people win.
Right.
My goal is always to help you get to your best self, right? Unapologetically, be authentically you, whether it's whatever field that you're in, right? Whether it's a creative field, whether it's something that's very systematic, you know. But that's just my goal, and I think that you always have to have people around you to that's your bumpers, because there's things that you may miss about yourself. There's things that you may not see that you're doing, or that you just really need help, right? And for me, it's like I love being that eyes, but also love people being my eyes, because there's things about me that I might be missing. I might be missing the mark in certain areas. I may have a behavior or a habit that's just like, hey, bro, that's holding you back from exceeding or succeeding in whatever field that you're seeking to go to. So I think accountability is very important, especially nowadays. Um, Most people are not social. We see from the after the pandemic, or even during the pandemic, you realize, man, a lot of people they're just not social, and they don't value relationships. And my thing is, relationships are important. If you're not carrying good relationships, man, then you're struggling. I can see how life is lonely. I can see how um you're not progressing to where you want to go, because you don't have anybody that's doing life with you. So you need to value relationships, man.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. Let's talk a little bit on that, because I think sometimes there's, and maybe this is just coming from men. I've conversated with many men, and there's this internal battle where we feel like, well, if I have an accountability partner, uh, some would say that maybe they're a little bit afraid to open up, or they don't know what to say. Kind of like when we've interacted with some folks, whether we've met them for the first time or we've met them for maybe the 15th time, there is a little bit of, like, sometimes a little bit of shyness, and I get it. Not everybody wants to spill their whole story on you, because a couple of things you have to ask is, do these people care about me? Can I trust them? And then can they help me? And those are some things you have to actually make sure that you evaluate. So how have you personally been able to kind of get down those walls that people have? Because there is sometimes, there's a barrier. I think there's a guard sometimes. What are some
Hmm.
things, maybe some tools that maybe other men or even women that you've been able to utilize? It's kind of helped you uh, not just break down the walls of, like, the timidness, the shyness, but it's gotten you to the point where I've gotten people to open up a little bit more, and you're not doing it forcefully, but you're doing it in
Hmm.
an organic way that's allowing them to communicate, and it's allowing them to build trust with you.
Hmm. Just letting people know that I care, right? I'm just I'm curious about people, right? I love the study of the mind. I
Mhm.
love the way how people think. We all have different backgrounds. So sometimes it's just amazing to hear somebody else's story. Like, man, where are you from? Like, how'd you get here? You know what I'm saying? Questions like, how many kids you have? There was a time I was in Winco, man, and I, I'm one of those guys that I just want everything to be an experience.
Mhm.
So what I'll do is I'll just sit there and ask you a whole bunch of random questions, or just to be able. I'm waiting in line. It's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey, what's your name? You know, and just to connect, right? Most people they don't talk much. So just being that person where it's like when you meet me, it's like, oh, I like him because I'm just naturally interested, right? I'm curious. I want to know about you. How is life treating you? If there's any way that I can either assist or just, I'm just that type of person where it's just like, man, I'm just naturally curious. I want to know what's going on with you, right? I want to know if there's anything in your life that's holding you back from reaching your goal. I want to know if, like, man, hey, have you struggling here, struggling there? Especially like you said, as men, we have a hard time opening up. My thing is like, I know because I know that's what propels me. That's what forces me to interact more. It's like I know that place of being lonely. I know that place of not having somebody to talk to. I know that place of depression. So it's like, nah, let's open up. Hey, I'm gonna ask you some questions. I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions. I'm an open person. I'm an open person. it started off very negative just because, I just didn't want anybody to, you can't say that you didn't know certain things about me. I want people to be like, hey, um, if they were to ask you about me or say something about me, you could be like, that's not Antoine because I know him, right? And so that's my mentality. It's like, well, I'm just completely honest. Sometimes my wife say I share too much, you know, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I have nothing to hide. This is life. I'm a people, you're a people. Hey, we all got ups and downs. We all have flaws. We all have a story, So just being able to, communicate that to one another. I break down walls is just like I was telling my kids, man, just ask questions, get interested in people. You never know what you may find out from another person or who has the answer to a question that you've been seeking. And sometimes it's just like a random conversation that you just come across and it's just like, wow, I've been looking for the answer. And just by me opening up my mouth in this grocery line, this person just answered the question that I was seeking.
Yeah, exactly. And I it's so interesting because for so many years I was naturally an introvert. I was
Hmm.
naturally an introvert. I was not naturally communicative. I was kind of the person for so long that I was in the background, didn't say very much. And it was more because I didn't really want to. If I felt like if I would have presented myself more, then it's like okay, now I feel like I don't know. People are gonna be like curious about who I am. But here's a point I'm trying to make with this is that sometimes you have to learn to kind of switch, flip the switch, and actually be the
Hmm.
person that is interested versus
Hmm.
trying to appear interesting because there's a
Hmm.
difference right there. The folks that tend to socialize a lot, conversate about whether it's their lives, but when you don't make the effort, when you don't ask questions about, hey, what do you do for fun? How's your family? Do you have kids?
Hmm.
What do you do for your career? Where did you grow up? How did you overcome this? See, that's a person that is interested, and
Hmm.
that's what I think draws in that trust, that transparency. It's like, okay, this is somebody that is actually genuinely curious, and they're not just
Hmm.
piling up a bunch of questions because they're forced to, but they are actually genuinely interested in who I am as a person, as a man. Kind of
Hmm.
like, when we asked our wives out, you have to be the one that is interested and not trying to be the one that's interesting. You're not trying to show off yourself, but you need to make sure
Right.
that you're the one that is generally interested in who they are, meeting their needs. And
Come on.
one of the things that I think you do so well is you do it with a smile, and you do it with just a loving spirit. When we tend to kind of do things or ask questions in a way that can turn people off, or the energy that we feed. And let's talk about that for a second. The actual energy that is important in giving somebody and making them feel comfortable. How important to you is that? Because when you make eye contact with, whether it's me or whether it's with one of our other friends, and you're smiling, you're friendly, and you're not channeling anything that's negative or in a way that seems kind of scary or angry. How important is it that the energy that we channel to whether it's our brothers or whether it's our kids, how important is that factor as we're trying to make sure, like, hey, I want to be an accountability partner for you, and I want to do it the right way.
Hmm. The energy is important. They have to feel you. I mean, like to have clarity to know that this person is for me, right? And like you said, like some people are closed off.
Hmm.
And so it's like they want to know, like you said, they want to know that you genuinely care, right? And so I know for me, sometimes it's like, okay, I look a person dead in their face. I found out that that makes some people uncomfortable. Some cultures, that's a sign of disrespect. So it's like some social cues that I'm like, okay, don't look them dead in the face. All right, look away, look back.
Mhm.
Smile, active listening. I mean, are you
Yeah.
engaged in the conversation? Right. I think in society, man, we have so many things that go on in our head when we're talking to somebody. So the goal is not to get in your head.
Mhm.
So the closer you can get somebody to be as natural as possible, right? Like unapologetically allowing them to be them. Like for me, let your hair down. You know what I'm saying? Don't hold nothing back. Say what you need to say. No judgment. Yeah, I'm a Christian man. At the end of the day, hey, look, sometimes a cuss word slips out. Okay.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes life is sucking. Okay. Right. you know um in my past I always thought about being a coach, or doing counseling, and it's just like that's one thing that I was geared towards. It's like having compassion but allowing a person to be themselves. You know what I'm saying? Show me who you are. No judgment. You're going to determine if this is the way you want to be or not, right? So giving them that energy of like, hey, I'm here for you. Listen, you can't brush me off. I'm probably gonna come knock on your door a few more times. you know, you might run from me because I might be that loud one. It's just
Mhm.
like, hey, what's up? But at the end of the day, you're gonna know that hey, at least this guy is genuine, 100%. At least I know. At least you'll know that hey, that guy Antoine cares, and he's always looking out for my best interest. The Bible lets us know look out for others' best interest as your own, and it's like, man, like we were talking about excelling, man. I want to see you win. I want to see you reach that place of where you're in that flow state, where you're in your zone as a parent, a father in your career. It's like, hey, how can we get you there? What is necessary? Is it a conversation you need to have, or what's blocking you? And so coming to people with that approach, letting them know that there's compassion in the building, and you can find that with me. You know, um, when I was younger, I used to tell people, I'd rather you come talk to me than talk to anybody else because I know what you'll get from me, right? You're gonna get compassion. You're gonna get a love that's like, oh wow, um, I've never received this or had somebody walk with me like this before. You know what I'm saying? So I would shoot. I'll pat my own self on the back, because I mean that's just my life, man. I want to see people grow. I love people, man. I
Yeah,
just love people.
absolutely. I think that's really important what you just said, because that's not just being honest, but that's you're being like 100% authentic to yourself. If you come to me, which by the way, I obviously you and I we come to each other for a lot of things, then this what you're going to get. I'm gonna be straight with you. I'm gonna tell you
Hmm.
no if this is not a good idea. I'm gonna say yes if I can support you in any way. You have to be willing, and this is what I tell people, you have to be willing to have people that are willing to be that transparent with you. Because what happens is if you and I agreed on absolutely everything all the time, which by the way we haven't, and that's okay, then that doesn't give our relationship an opportunity to grow. That doesn't give us an opportunity to challenge ourselves. Doesn't give us an opportunity to kind of see, okay, here's his reason why he doesn't think this is a good idea, or here's this person's reason why they think this could be a better option. And it's not that
Hmm.
it's not that we're trying to create a culture where people can't be trusted, but we want to create a culture where people can be honest. And
Yes.
so when we can create honesty and transparency, you have a healthy culture. And
Hmm.
so one of the things I love that you've done with your boys is they are in a very healthy like culture. You and your wife, you've done a fantastic job. And talk about their development. Talk about being their accountability partners. They obviously, they come to you, you come to them. How important has as they've gotten older, you guys have continuously, you've inserted yourselves in every situation, including even the oldest in his journey.
Yeah, yeah. Well, being honest, man, when I first, I have three boys, right? I have my oldest is my stepson, and then I have the two biological, all my boys, right? And so first coming into being a parent, right? I got married at 22 years old. Um, Mind you, I ain't even lived life yet. My wife had a son. So inserting myself into something that I thought I knew about, but I didn't. I go on the record and say I thought I was like when I look back now, I'm like I was a horrible dad. you know,
Oh
um,
man.
oh man, just being blatantly honest, bro. I think about like how I was raised, so I brought a lot of that into how I was training my son, and you know, interesting enough, he turned out well,
Yeah. They've all turned
you
out well.
know, right? But I will say, once I got past the hurdle of just, being honest, not knowing that, hey, they're not going to do everything right. I'm not going to do everything right. But being a safe space where they can come and just, in lack of better words,
Oh,
let their hair down,
that's good.
right?
Good.
When my oldest was growing up, there's some times where I would just be like, bro, if you wanted to cuss me out, bro, listen, I will take that. I'll give that, because I understand the fact of energy. I understand when emotions are raised. If you're upset, man, I can deal with you being upset. I can live with that, right? Give that to me so I can see where your heart is, where I see where your mind is. Um, my favorite scripture is in Proverbs. It says, wisdom is the principal thing. So get
Amen.
wisdom.
Amen.
But in all thy getting, get an understanding.
Yes.
My goal as a parent, as a friend, as a leader is I want to understand you. Some people say I got too much compassion. It's like, man, are you passive aggressive? It's just like, no, but I choose to be in a place where sometimes I'm just neutral so I can understand where a person is coming from. you know when I'm in that place, especially with my kids, it's like, okay, I can actually pinpoint, oh, this is what's going on in your mind, this is how you're perceiving this is your perspective. Okay, I love your perspective. So what do you think, how about this outcome of your perspective? How about you think about this way? Now, you don't have to take what I'm saying, but I want to actually have you start thinking about outcomes, right? Seeing what the end product would be. I grew up with the word consequence.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bad word in my, you know, because you always hear, these are the consequences of your actions. And I'm like, consequences? Okay, what? It's always bad. You only hear from a bad narrative. But now we now understand that all consequences is just the results of your decisions. It's like whether good or bad. You're gonna have consequences on doing good things. You're gonna have consequences doing the bad, wrong things or bad things. So being able to give them that clarity, understanding like, hey, look, this is what goes on in your life. My biggest thing is I want to make them aware, right? But I also want them to have my heart to be like, look, try to see from other people's perspective. You know what I mean? Because that's a whole being right there. They have been through a lot of trials, they've been through a lot of situations. So technically, it's like you can't just pinpoint or, what's that, project you think that they should be doing, right? Because they're not you. And that's language that I hate. Is just like, well, I would have did it like this. Man, I tell them, don't say that around me,
Mm-hmm.
because technically what's coming out of my mouth is, you are not them.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's hit on that actually for a second, because this is I think sometimes I think where the road can get a little bit bumpy for some folks is we hear the narrative, yeah, I'm not them and yet we're trying to become like them. Well, we're that's not our goal, right? We don't
Hmm.
want to become like the person that is trying to help us. You know, we've had, you know, pastors, mentors, you name anything, coaches, and you you could talk about, well, this is how they played the game. This is how they taught. This is how they sounded. So I have to do the same. No, you
Hmm.
actually don't. Now, the steps and directions and guidance that they took, they can give you similar steps that they took. They can give you similar recommendations, but your journey is going to be it's going to be different.
Come
It's
on.
going to sound different. It's going to be different. Like imagine, you know, because you're a fantastic musician. Imagine if everybody in the world tried to sound like you on stage.
Oh God.
And I'll be the first to tell you that ain't happening on me. No chance. 0 chance I'm gonna sound like you. You could train me, you could put all the hours in all the keys. Yeah, well, if you just train on this note, if you just do that, not happening. Not
Hmm.
happening. I mean, my voice, I can't I don't know all the keys. Like I'm like a baritone or something like that, and you're it's just there's some things you gotta know, like, "Hey, I can't sound like him." Okay?
Man.
I can't play like this guy because, you know, I'm not 6'7". I'm not tall. I can't play like MJ. I
Hmm.
can't. But my journey may have similar steps, but I may have different results.
Right. Right. That used to that was big for me, man. I was growing up, man, I compared myself to everybody. I'm just like, okay, like you had said, I'm thinking like, okay, if I do it like this, I gotta sound like this. I have to present like this. And I always just get upset, man, because I'm like, wait, I'm not getting the results,
Yeah.
right? Man, for me being a singer, man, I used to sit hours just listening to Usher runs, like just to develop my voice and be able to be like hitting notes.
Yeah.
I just and I'm like, I mean, that's how I used to be like. If I was able to pick up a young lady, man, it's like I'm sitting, and when what was it, Love and Basketball came out, that
Oh
Maxwell
god.
song, you know, but I spent a lot of my life just comparing myself to others, right? And really, it's just like I wanted their results. And it used to get to a place where because I wasn't getting their results or I wasn't getting their outcomes, I used to condemn myself very, very much so, man. It was bad, right? I used to struggle with that because, growing up, single mom, right? And just trying to find my own way, right? I drew conclusions early. So the way I was living was like, okay, well, if this person's getting these results, then they must know the way. I'm gonna follow them, right? And they could be doing stuff totally wrong. I was able to gauge that. I'll do all the right things they were doing, but then the wrong things, I'm like, we'll just leave that to the side, right? I love the fact how you brought up Michael Jordan, right? I didn't grow up watching basketball, right? But I mean, that's how I got to college was playing basketball. I mean, people think that that's weird because, like, how can you play something but you don't watch it?
A good point. It's a good
you
point.
know, man, but growing up from Anchorage, Alaska, man, you just learn to do things. When it's wintertime, this is what everybody's doing. Summertime, this is what everybody's doing. So hey, we're hooping. But I used to sit and watch Michael Jordan. Of course, I'm not 6'6", right? So but I knew how to fade away, right? My jumper, my jumper wasn't the greatest until I got to college, right?
So they train that. Yeah.
Man. But like you had said, that comparison, right? Many people they live their life off comparison, and they're looking at other people's results and their path, but the steps may be the same, but you're gonna have different outcomes due to your own personality, right? And I think that just goes with the fact of being uniquely you, right? You'll hear a lot of mentors, you hear a lot of coaches, they say, here, just do everything I tell you to do, right? And I think that's important as a mentor, as a coach, as a leader. Hey, I have vision. I'm helping you with the vision that you say that you want, right? And so just follow everything that I tell you to do, but believe you're not going to get the same outcomes because you're not going to get my outcomes, which I mean, whatever that may look like, due to the fact of your path may be different. There's things that you may have to work on that I didn't have to work on, but I'm here to help you see that, hey, these are things that you need to work on.
Yeah. I love that you said that because this is what I love about when we can actually develop others is we can actually help them excel, hit a bar, and it's not about them getting to maybe a level that this person was at. This is one thing I tell my son is I don't want you to focus on getting to where dad is at because my goal is I want to make sure that I set you up for success long term. So in other words, I want you to go beyond what
Hmm.
dad has done. I want you to go beyond what mom has done. I want you to take it another step further. Because if you're always looking at me, and if you're always looking at this person, then that's all you see. And so you have to ask yourself, what do I see?
Yeah.
We know the Bible verse where there is no vision, people perish.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
have to have a vision. You got to have a vision for yourself. If you don't, it's going to be very tough. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers, they're very few.
Hmm.
They're very few.
Hmm. Man, yeah, I love vision now. One thing I was thinking about is the fact of many people say, "Well, I don't have a vision." Well, you have a vision. It may not be written down. You may not have it like right in front of your face, but you're going somewhere, right? Now the question is, where are you going? One thing that I try to continue to stress with my kids is like asking the questions, hey, what do you want? What do you want what do you want out of life? One thing I've been taking this foundations class, and the statement has been, are you leading your life or are you managing your life?
Mm,
Are you leading your life or are you managing your life? For many years, and this is even after marriage, I realized I was managing my life. Now, did I have a vision like solely in front of my face? No, but I was going somewhere. And I was looking at my results because I was asking the question, why am I not hitting certain markers,
mhm,
right? Why does my income look like this? You know, um, why is my relationships look like this? What my relationship with my wife, my kids, my friendships, like, okay, are they just mediocre, right? Is there some growth happening, or is it just something that's, hey, it's willy-nilly, it's just like, hey, we're hanging out, but nobody's really talking about goals, progressive, you know and I had relationships where it's like, okay, we're shooting, but we don't really talk about it. But then it just gets to a place where it's like, oh, it's because we're not really talking vision. We're sitting here talking, reminiscing about back in the day, but what it looks like going forward, right? And so having a vision, knowing where you want to go, is important. And I think, like you had talked about with accountability, it's like you need people around you that you're able to share that vision to, right? That you're able to let them know, like, hey, this is what I'm shooting for, this is what I want in my life. And whether you say that I need your help to help me get there, or the person just takes the initiative and saying, okay, if this is what you want, I'm here to help you get there. I'm here to assist you as you walk this journey. If there's hard times, if you need to have a phone call, if sometimes your boss pisses you off, you just want to give up, hey, that person's like, hey, hit me up, give me a call. But I think that having a vision and having people to support you to get to where you want to go, man, that's vital,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. One question I wanted to ask you, and this is a question I've even gotten asked before, is I've had accountability partners or friends before. They were here 1 second and they were gone the next. How do I know that you're going to be around if I'm going through depression, anxiety? How do I know you're not just going to leave? What would you say to that person?
You have to gauge people, man. Um, Nobody can experience what it is that you're going through. They can be there to help, support. Um, Give you an example. There was a season in my life that I realized that the only person that has going to be able to deal with this is me, and I'm be with God. It's just me and God. My wife couldn't even help me through this, right? I mean, because she can't feel what I'm going through, right? What's going on, the internal battle. If anything, she'll be there to be like, "Hey, it's okay, it's okay." And sometimes, man, it's like I don't feel okay. You know what I mean? So you would have to gauge that. People in your life. Some I hate to say it, but there are some seasonal people. They're here 1 minute and they're gone the next, and it's all love. It's not like they're turning their back on you. There are some people that are there to help you through that season. There's some people that are not, right? And you have to acknowledge that. You have to gauge that. You have to find that within yourself to be like, hey, okay, hey, I think this season I might be, it just might be me and God, me, God, and my confidence, right? So me being a heavy Christian, me believing in Jesus, that season was a season where it's like, okay, I'm pressing into God's word. I At this point, there is nothing anybody can really do at this point, right? I'm only looking for divine. I need divine answers, and I need His peace. I don't need man's peace. I need His peace. So I would tell people, man, you gauge the people in your life. You know who's the ones that are going to ride with you through a process and who's not, right? That's number one. Um, and then you gauge the season that you're in, right? Is this a season where you might have to be a little isolated, right? There might be a season where you have to just, hey, I'm gonna have to be to myself, come out the cubby hole, to say, hey, this is what's going on. But then, hey, I got to go back in, because I'm working some things out. I have a process that I'm going through. So you have to decide that. So I think that's important. So you have to engage that right, and sometimes it's hard, bro. It's hard. But at the end of the day, you're going to make it through it. I mean, if you look at your life and you think about everything that you have overcome, right? You sit there and be like, man, I didn't think I was going to make it through this, but I did. Okay, I can make it through this. I didn't think I was going to make it through this, but I did. Okay, having that confidence having that confidence in yourself, having that confidence in God, that knowing that He's going to help you get through it, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, and I think that's spot on right there. And sometimes I think that's hard to come to terms with for a lot of us. Even even like even myself in years past is you have to come to terms with the realization that not everybody's going to be there long term. Somebody might be there for a short season. Some people are going to be there for even longer seasons, and or
Hmm.
even they could be decades. You never know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
But it's up to you to really be okay with the results. You have to be willing to be okay that
Hmm.
they're going to be there one season. Like my college teammates that I had, track and field, I only had them for just most of them. It was just those 4 years.
Right, right, right.
Doesn't mean I don't love them. Doesn't mean I don't care for them. But that was just the season that we were in. And of
Hmm.
course,
Hmm.
obviously, if I saw him today, I would acknowledge him. Hello. It would be a friendly greeting. But yeah, you
Hmm.
have to be okay with those seasons and just be okay internally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's hard because I think for some it's hard not to take things personal too. It's like it's not a personal thing, you know. Some people just don't have the capacity, right? So it's not a personal thing. But you have to navigate that. You have to navigate that with wisdom. Get the understanding that you need to get. So, I mean, it's really a lot of this depends on you leading, having vision for your life, knowing what you want, building those relationships around you so that when you do go through seasons like that, man, you know you've already built that. You've done the work, right? And when they show up, because of what you have built, it's like you have sustainability.
Yeah. Do you believe in, we'll close up here in just a second. Do you believe that as we can kind of be accountability partners, not just for each other, but for other people, do you believe that this can help break a lot of mental barriers where people are kind of struggling, mentally, spiritually? Do you believe that when we can be that person's running mate, even if it's for 6 months, 6 months or a year, that this can bring them out of a season where it was misery and then now they're stepping into joy?
Mm, I do. I do. Because it's vital. We're not meant to do life alone. We're social creatures, right? So, having somebody walk with you for 6 months, a year, sometimes it's even 1 month, right? For example, let's throw a scenario out there. It's like you just come into a job, you meet somebody and they're just like, wow, man, you connected with this person in that 1 month that you were at this job where it's like, man, but I needed this person in that season, right? So it's vital, right? We're not meant to do life alone. So taking that time, building those relationships, it can change a lot of mental barriers, especially, and I just this is a big one when you're coming authentically, being open, right? You have to find people that you're willing to be open to. And in my mind, I'm thinking about having somebody in your life that has vision and that can see clearer, that's at a place where you can look up to, right? You can look at their life and be like, okay, this is a person that I can lean on. This is a person that I can have in my corner. You're not just gonna choose some random person that's just like their life is miserable, and I'll let you to walk with me through. They're just gonna make your life miserable.
Yeah.
What are they gonna assist you with, right? So I know for myself, like for example, you're one of the people that I look up to, and because you have a vision, right? And I'm like, okay, if I'm going through some things, I know it's like, okay, I can look to Aaron, right? He has vision, and you're able to assist me in certain areas where it's like, okay, yeah, yeah, especially as I'm leaning on you. So uh, having somebody that walks with you is very vital, and it can help your mental health, to let you know that, hey, you're not alone. I think most people wrestle with the fact of like they think that they're alone. Nobody's going through this, but the Bible lets us know there's nothing new under the sun, right? Just with that knowledge alone, let you know that whatever you're going through, somebody else has gone through, and then on top of that, somebody else has gone through and overcame.
Yes. That's so true. That's very true. Well,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, Antoine, as always, thank you for being my personal accountability partner. But more importantly, I thank you just for the leader you are. You're a model husband, model father, obviously a model, just example of a human being. And folks, I tell you, you get around Antoine, believe me, you're going to be blessed. There's one of the reasons why I keep him in my corner because,
Amen.
I need people like this that I know are going to be a difference makers, but I know they're not afraid to just be open. We can be vulnerable with each other. And I just appreciate you blessing me with your friendship. Obviously, my wife and I, we think so highly, obviously, of you and your wife and your whole family. We just love your guys' entire family, and we consider you guys part of our entire bloodline. You guys, you
Amen.
know, we enjoy every bit of you.
Don't make me cry, bro.
Uh,